Hey guys, it's Vince and Drew with Power 5 Fanatics back at you with our pick'ems for week 6 going into the college football season. What are we, about a third of the way through the season, pretty close to that. And we're starting to see kind of how things are panning out. Mm-hmm. Drew did really well last week. He was 8-3, much better than mine. I was a loser. I don't even know what it was. I quit counting. There's so many losses. So, anyways, we do have some differences of opinion today as we go through these. We tried to pick 10 or 11 of the better games. Starting in the Pac-12, Arizona at Colorado. Colorado is giving 4.5 points.
Today game.
Yeah, I believe it's at 3:30.
3:30, I think, at Colorado.
Central, yeah. I got Arizona getting the points. The only reason I say that is because they've actually been playing better. Arizona, their quarterback, has been playing a lot better as of late, the last 3 weeks. Colorado's been a little Jekyll and Hyde this season, and they've looked really good at times and not very good at other times. I think Colorado easily could win, but it looks like a field goal game to me.
I got Colorado covering at home, and both these teams are very Jekyll and Hyde in my opinion. Arizona loses to Hawaii after getting 5 turnovers.
Yeah, that was a week 0 game.
And then they played terrible defense for a lot of the season, and then they hold Texas Tech to 14 points. So I'm going to go with Colorado here. I think both teams have been inconsistent, but I think Colorado actually has been a little bit more consistent. I'm going to take them at home this week.
Second one we got up is SEC matchup. Used to carry a lot more weight than it does now. With Tennessee struggle, but Georgia at Tennessee. Georgia's given this is a huge number. I bet it's been a long time since they've given Tennessee 24.5 points at Tennessee in Knoxville. I mean, I bet it was like when Herschel Walker was playing for them, maybe.
Probably so.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like Tennessee. Their offense has still been struggling as of late. Their defense looks like it's coming around a little bit. I just think 24.5 points is a lot. I do think they probably will lose this game. If they can't beat Georgia State, I don't think they can beat the University of Georgia. But I think they're going to keep it within the 24.5 points.
I'm going to take Georgia here in all the points. Give me all those points. If Florida can beat Tennessee, 33-3 or 31-3?
Yeah.
I don't see why Georgia can't do it. I think the Florida game was at Florida, but I just think what Georgia's got going on in offense is especially in the run game, is a lot better than what Florida's got going on in the run game, and I know Georgia's got a better, at least very comparable defense. I'm going to take Georgia in the points here. It's kind of risky because that's a lot of points to give somebody.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm taking them. I just don't think Tennessee's got much of an offense, or their defense is okay, but definitely not much of an offense.
Moving back to the Pac-12, we got Cal at Oregon, 2 of those Pac-12 teams that are battling it out for first place. Oregon's been looking really good lately, and they're giving 18 points at home to Cal. Cal has had a few ups and downs. Of course, they lost last week, but they started 4-0, so they're 4-1. I don't know if Oregon's going to be able to cover that, so I like Cal. Drew does also in that game. It's just that's a pile of points, and I think Cal has enough to stay within that number. I don't think they're going to win that. I think Oregon will win at home. Okay, now we got getting into some Big 12 games. In fact, we got quite a few of those as we continue.
Some good games in the Big 12 this week.
The best team against the worst team in the Big 12, Oklahoma at Kansas. Oklahoma's giving 32 points on the road. I like Kansas. Drew likes Oklahoma. My reasoning on Kansas, I don't really have any reason. Other than I don't know if Oklahoma's going to keep putting it on people, especially being on the road. I I think Les Miles' team is gonna put a fight up, at least enough to stay within that 32-point range.
Yeah, man, this game I'm gonna stick with Oklahoma. I know they're the road team, and talk about the home, the road favorite and stuff all you want to, but Oklahoma's been getting it done on offense, and in my opinion, they've been getting it done on defense too. And
yeah, they really have. They're as good as anybody.
That's a lot of points. 32 points is a lot.
Jalen Hurts is just continuing his Heisman campaign.
But I don't know if it's going to surprise anybody if they cover this by halftime. I mean, it could. I don't know.
They could. Well, I guess we'll
have to see how.
That's
it
why
goes.
they play the game.
Yeah.
Moving to the Big Ten, we got there's a couple really good battles in the Big Ten this week. And this is one of them. Iowa at Michigan. Michigan's giving 3.5 points. We both like Michigan in that game. Michigan showed some fight. They're not going to give up. Last week with Rutgers, I know it was only Rutgers, but it was 52-0. This is just a little bit more than a field goal. I think they're going to get it done at home. Iowa, they may surprise us. I don't know, because they're one of those teams where it's kind of hard to get a gauge where I was at right now, but I think Michigan's going to have enough to get it done. It'll probably be low scoring, something 20-14, something like that. I don't think there'll be a whole lot of scoring in it. What do you think?
I like Michigan as well in this game, but I'm not very confident about it just from what we've seen so far in this season. Iowa's been one of the more consistent teams in the Big Ten, in my opinion. They've had a great offense or defense, and their offense has been pretty consistent too with Nate Stanley at quarterback. This is a game for Michigan to kind of make a statement on where they're actually going to be this season.
Yeah, it really is. Well, it is with Iowa too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Iowa, for all we know, they're going to end up winning the Big Ten West. I mean, it's easy just to give it to Wisconsin at this point, but if Iowa comes out and puts a beat down on Michigan, I think everybody's going to stand up to that point.
I think Michigan's, chance to get to the Big Ten championship is on the line in this game.
Oh yeah, every game for them is on the line.
This game is going to be huge.
I'm not giving up on Michigan yet. I got my Michigan colors on here, kind of, but I think they are going to get it done, and they will cover in this game.
Yeah.
Moving back to the Big 12, this is probably the third best team, Oklahoma State against Texas Tech, who's going to be one of the bottom teams at this point. We didn't think they would be there probably after the first 2 or 3 weeks, but they are. Their offense is just can't get it done. Jet Duffy is starting this week. At least he knows. He's known for the entire week, so to get mentally prepared. But I still don't think they're going to have enough to stay up with Oklahoma State. Hubbard's been he's got the most yards per game than any running back in America right now. Their passing game's been excellent. We like Oklahoma State giving 10 points in Lubbock to cover that. Staying in the Big 12, TCU at Iowa State. This is really a good game. Two schools kind of in the middle fighting it out. Not completely out of anything at this point, but whoever loses this will be pretty much out of as far as Big 12 competition.
Yeah.
It's a big game. TCU at Iowa State, a couple what you'd consider defensive teams. We got a difference in opinion. I think Iowa State will cover that. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to win. I mean, probably it's going to be a field goal or something, kind of like Baylor and Iowa State last week. Drew likes TCU.
I like TCU to cover the 3.5 on the road as an underdog. Iowa State hasn't really impressed me so far.
Their offense has been very disappointing.
What I thought that they might be as a team this year. I thought that, and a lot of the.
Of course, TCU just hadn't been lighting the board up either.
No, they haven't. But they've impressed me though, because as far as like my preseason, perception of these teams, I didn't think TCU was going to be that good because they had 6 quarterbacks that were competing for that starting quarterback job, and then you have Iowa State over here with. You have Purdy coming back as a sophomore, and you got a really good young head coach. You kind of expect them to, and I was thinking maybe they'd be in the top half of the conference, which they still might be. But TCU could be there as well, and I just think I'm going to take the more proven head coach on the road here, and I think they've got something on defense too where they can. they could even score points on defense. So I think they're going to cover for sure.
All right, moving to the marquee. I'd say it'd probably be the marquee SEC battle definitely this week. I believe game day is going to be there, ESPN. Auburn at Florida. This is an interesting battle. Auburn is giving points on the road. That probably doesn't happen just a whole lot, but they are this year, even though Florida's looked pretty good at times. In fact, I'd say they look better than where they were in that week 0
matchup against Miami.
Miami, they were looking good defensively in that game, but not offensively at all. But they've kind of come around. I'm not sure if their third-string quarterback or who is playing quarterback this week.
I believe.
Yeah, and he did really well last time he played. I believe they were off last week, Florida.
Were they? I think they played Towson.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty much a bye week.
Yeah, pretty much a bye week.
No offense.
Anyways, regardless of that being said, Auburn, to me, has looked terrific. They have some of the best athletes in America, I believe, in speed on their team. And I do like them giving the points and covering at Florida.
I also like Auburn here. I should have got on this game earlier in the week. I think at one point it was a pick'em. And I think Auburn can win this game by about 7 points or so.
I could see that. I could see 7 to 10 points.
Florida's offense, with the backup quarterbacks, has been pretty good up to this point. But I just think this week is going to be the week where
I think it's going to be a lot like Auburn at A&M. They're going to kind of hang with them for a while, and then they're just going to pull
start
away
to struggle.
in the second half.
I think Auburn is just a tad bit better than Florida, and I think that they're going to be able to pull it out in the end on the road at the Swamp. So it'll be a fun game to watch, though, that's for sure.
Going back to the Big 12, UT, that would be Texas at West Virginia. Big game for Texas, obviously, to stay with Oklahoma. I'm not sure when they play Oklahoma. I think it's 2 weeks away.
It's actually after this week. It'll be the next week after.
So it's a week from Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, unless UT is looking past West Virginia, which they could. That's probably that'd be a good reason why I'm taking West Virginia. It's actually not the reason I'm taking them, but West Virginia's been a little bit Jekyll Hyde also this season. They started out, they're probably one of the less impressive 4-1 teams in America right now, I would say. Because the competition, they barely beat James Madison, but then they beat NC State. I know NC State hasn't been that good.
Got beat pretty bad by Missouri.
Yeah, and then they beat Kansas. My reasoning is I think it probably will be a slugfest for a while. UT, I believe Texas will pull away, but I think West Virginia will cover the 10.5 points.
I like Texas here on the road. And
you don't think they're going to look past West Virginia?
Well, I'm not going to say that because they might have, and I know that's kind of the game that Oklahoma and Texas, they kind of circle that game, on the season. But
that's circled by everybody.
Yeah, but I just think West Virginia's offense isn't going to be able to keep up with Texas's offense. I think Austin Kendall's got like 8 touchdowns on the season and like 6 touchdowns on the season and 3 interceptions. And on the other hand, Ellinger,
so he's doing a little bit worse than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and I think Ellinger's like
that was a
got
joke.
I think Ellinger's got like 16 passing touchdowns and some rushing.
Yeah,
and
well,
1 interception. So
you can't compare those two quarterbacks for sure.
I just think that the offense isn't going to be able to keep up with them. I know Texas has some struggles on defense, but I think West Virginia will too in this game. They have a lot of attrition over the past off season. And they just now lost another safety like this week. So I don't know about West Virginia. They got to start getting some of these guys back. But I got Texas this week covering 10.5.
Okay, moving back to the West. Baylor at Kansas State. Another big game, kind of like TCU, Iowa State, because it's some middling Big 12 schools that want to get up to the top, want to get to where Oklahoma and Texas are, and winning this will put them in that same
discussion.
Conversation. Yeah. Baylor's undefeated. Kansas State has lost one time. Kansas State is giving 1.5 points at home against Baylor, and I like Kansas State to cover that. I think Baylor, they may be as far as undefeated teams, I would say they're definitely one of the weaker undefeated teams outside of maybe Minnesota or a school, one of those programs that is undefeated. There's not a whole lot of undefeateds left, but Kansas State has shown at times to have a really rock-solid defense. Their offense has been a little suspect at times, but I think they're going to get it. Actually, I think they will win this game against Baylor.
Yeah, and that's fair. This is a game I had trouble picking. I'm going to go ahead and stick with Baylor here. I know it's the road team. Baylor hasn't played anybody besides they did play Iowa State last week, and the first
they
half,
looked really good,
they
and then they didn't look good.
They didn't look good against Iowa State last week. So who knows? What half Baylor you're going to get? What team?
This can be another one of those games going to give you a good indicator where these programs are at. They're both kind of question marks right now.
Yeah.
And this is going to really sort. The Big 12 is going to get sorted out pretty good this weekend, I think.
Right.
Especially in the middle.
I agree. These past couple weeks have been really good for us as analysts to kind of see where the Big 12 is going to end up.
Yeah. Northwestern at Nebraska. Nebraska giving 7 points. We both like Northwestern to cover, getting the touchdown. Nebraska has just been, I don't know, they're one of the bigger disappointments this year in college football, I would say, especially if you're a Nebraska fan. But, everybody thought they were going to be, really have a shot at the Big Ten West. I mean, it could still happen, but just the way it's going right now, it's not looking like it's trending that way, is it?
No, it doesn't, and it's going to be interesting to see how Nebraska bounces back here against,
I mean, last week I believe their quarterback,
Adrian Martinez. Yeah.
I think he had 120 yards passing.
Yeah.
I mean, who did they play last week?
Ohio State.
Yeah, I know it's Ohio State, but I mean, come on. I mean, how are you going to get things done with 120 yards passing? And so Nebraska's really been a disappointment, and I think Northwestern's going to cover this. I know Northwestern hasn't been a juggernaut by any means.
I just really like picking I'm sorry.
You talking about Northwestern's coach?
I can't think of his name. But yeah, I just really like picking him. He's always great against the spread. Every week it seems like. I picked him last week against Wisconsin. And
they covered, yeah.
Yeah, that game was closer than it kind of looked.
Yeah.
I mean, Wisconsin kind of pulled away there for a little bit, like in the third quarter. I think they went up 21-3.
But they only beat them by a couple touchdowns.
But then Wisconsin gets like an onside kick.
And it was at Wisconsin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at Wisconsin.
Yeah, I believe so. And they get like an onside kick and some other big, pretty big plays to kind of get back in that game, and they were able to cover.
Hey, I think it's going to be a dogfight for Nebraska to even win. That's why that's my biggest reason for that we like Northwestern.
Yeah.
And the last one, this is really a big game here. Michigan State at Ohio State. It's the defensive team against the offensive and defensive team.
Right.
Ohio State's given 20 points. That's a pretty big line, too. Probably hasn't been that large in a while, I wouldn't think. But, Michigan State at times, I mean, I don't know where they're at statistically, but they look like a top 5 defense a lot of the time. But Ohio State has also.
Yeah.
Ohio State's look like, honestly, the most complete team in college football.
Yeah.
I know we got them at number two, and that's questionable.
That could change real quick.
That could change.
Yeah.
And if they really take care of business here, it could really change as far as where we're going to rank them next week. But we still like Michigan State. We think their defense is going to give them enough to stay within that 3-touchdown line.
Yeah.
And that's really the only thing. I don't think Michigan State's got a chance to win, but I think they might make it close for a couple quarters.
It's not going to surprise me at all if Ohio State goes out and really makes a statement in this game where they cover that spread and, they have the game in their hand pretty early in this game. I'm going to go ahead and go with Michigan State because I really like.
I had Ohio State at first, but I changed it.
Yeah.
And the reason Michigan State's front seven is just brutal. And, I think, like I said, I think they're going to keep it close until halftime maybe, and then Ohio State will start pulling away a little bit.
I think their front seven's really good, but their secondary can be, it can be kind of exposed at times. And
I'm thinking it's going to be something like 38-20 is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's what we think. Let us know what you think in the comments below. We appreciate you spending 20 minutes of your day with us. It's Power 5 Fanatics signing out. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell because we're going to have at least one more video this week that's going to be coming out. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.